Look at this bozo hanging out at Home Depot in an ice jacket, pretending like he's on a TV show called To Catch a Day Laborer. But here's the real catch. He's not even an ICE agent. That's right. Did you know you can get an ice jacket on Etsy for just $20? And what's crazy is you don't just have nincompoops like this guy doing it. You also have January 6 rioters getting into the cosplay.
He's notorious January 6 defendant that was originally forced to live here upon release. Free now, be leaving this city on the 28th, so just having some fun before I leave. So, yeah.
Okay, you're wearing an ICE immigration jacket. Want to tell me more about that?
Yeah, $30 on Amazon. I should definitely recommend buy a small, because this is a medium. This is way too big. And go to Home Depot and watch the reactions. Very funny. So, yeah.
What a just absolutely a bad person. Brandon Fellows, that's his name. He stormed the Capitol. He also made fart noises during Dr. Fauci's congressional hearings. And he thinks it's funny to wear an ice jacket and go and bother people that are just trying to work, trying to get a job, unlike him. And he's just a bad person. And the cruelty is the point, folks. The cruelty is the point. Now, I want you to watch as Representative Julie Johnson talks to the head of Homeland Security about their non-existence ID policies.
Well, ICE agents always identify themselves to individuals that they're encountering or that they're working with. What I would say as far as if they are wearing something over their faces, it's oftentimes because that agent has been involved in undercover operations or needs to be able to continue the investigative work that they do on a day-to-day basis.
But don't you think, Madam Secretary, that people have a right to see whoever's trying to apprehend them? I think it's creating this unrealistic vigilante system. And are you aware that your materials, ICE agents, jackets, and the sorts are available on Etsy for $20? Anybody can do that, throw a mask on, and run around and terrorizing people of color without any regard for the law, without any regard, because your agency does not have proper protocols to make sure their agents are clearly identified and marked when they're executing their job.
All right, James Bond, with your undercover agents. They're covering themselves because what you guys are doing is illegal. In a democracy, you need to identify yourself. Give me the warrant. What's the reason for my arrest? They're just taking people and disappearing them off of streets, and they're making up rules as they go. Don't listen to me. Listen to Fox News.
We're talking to everybody out here. Are you a citizen of the U.S.?
Agents move from house to house approaching workers. ICE describes the interaction as a consensual and optional conversation since they didn't have a warrant. Agents question their legal status, and those who couldn't provide valid immigration documentation were fingerprinted on site, part of a process to verify identities through a national immigration database. ICE says they opened an investigation after concerns from community members.
Yeah, that seems unbelievable. In America, there's ICE agents stopping people going, are you a citizen? No? Let me get your fingerprints. What do you think the guy's going to do? He's going to give you your fingerprints. But he doesn't know his rights. You didn't give him his rights. You didn't read him his rights. You're just going randomly and terrorizing people. And here's, again, Congresswoman Julie Johnson explaining why this can be very dangerous.
Our agents do identify themselves. They verbally do that, and then also by the clothing that they're wearing. And if they do have something that is covering some of their facial features, it's for their investigative work or their undercover work that they do as a part of their job duties as well. What I would say is that it is important that we follow the procedures and protocols for every encounter that we have, and they have done that in every situation to the best of my knowledge.
Well, I would suggest that your protocols need to be revised because I don't think it's reasonable for masked men to be apprehending people on the streets. I think that instills a lot of fear. It doesn't instill security in the process. And in states like Texas, that is open carry when any jackadoo can be walking around with a gun. I think some tragic circumstances are at bay.
And that, folks, is a great point. You have ICE agents who don't identify themselves. You have these vigilantes who go and get ICE jackets from online. And you're in a state where carrying a gun is legal. What do you think's going to happen? Something bad is going to happen. It's already happening because they're just making up their rules. They're scaring people. They're fingerprinting people. So this is total chaos, and it's by design, folks. It's not like they did it accidentally. They want chaos. They want immigrants to fear for their safety, to fear for their lives. And let's not forget how this all started. This all started with Donald Trump running on the fact that he said, I'm going to get rid of violent criminals that came here illegally. And then a little while later, he was like, well, I'm just going to get rid of anybody who's undocumented. And a little while later, they started getting rid of green card holders. Remember the guy, Mahmoud Khalil, who was the guy who was led the pro-Palestinian protests over in Columbia University? They disappeared him off the streets. Then they went after that girl. Remember the Turkish girl that they just released? The Turkish PhD student who wrote an op-ed piece about the people in Gaza and the Palestinians, and she was taken. And now you've got these other brown people, Latinos, just being taken. They're getting fingerprinted. They're breaking the glass. I'm sure you've seen these videos. They're just breaking into people's cars and taking them. And the whole time, they're covered. That's not what's supposed to happen in a democracy. That's what happens in countries like Iran or North Korea or Russia. Those are the places where we're used to seeing videos of a random person just getting kidnapped. And by the way, then they say, oh, what you did is they make up stuff, right? They go, oh, for example, we've got the Abrego Garcia who's out in El Salvador right now in that prison, and they say he's part of MS-13, but they don't have any proof that he's part of MS-13. But to them, they have just carte blanche to do whatever they want. And this is very dangerous, folks. It's very dangerous because they're moving the goalposts. So what's to say that they won't show up and just arrest you, a citizen, and say, we're arresting you because we saw what you posted on Instagram. We saw what you said online about Donald Trump. We saw you criticizing ICE. What's to say they don't do that? They can do that. All the students that Marco Rubio has been revoking visas from, he says, well, they're all a threat to our national security. So he's just making it up as he goes. They got these laws, these old laws that they're pulling out, and they're creating chaos, they're causing chaos, and then they're basking in it. That's what's even crazier. If there were at least some level of grace, if there were some level of understanding, if they were going to people and saying, hey, listen, this is the law, you didn't abide by the law, I am this, ICE agent, this is what we are, this is the warrant, I need to, get you out of here, or at least get you a hearing. What happened to getting a hearing? They're not even doing that. But what they're doing is the opposite. You got guys like that January 6th rider, or the other guy that we saw the picture of in the beginning, just getting ice jackets and going to Home Depot and scaring people. I mean, how sick of a human being do you have to be to do that? They're sick. And really, the bigger threat to America are those people. These people that are wearing ICE agent jackets. You don't think they're a little crazy? You don't think they're cuckoo? You don't think that they're capable of violence? You don't think they're capable of storming the Capitol? If you storm the Capitol, the odds are you are off. And the odds are that you will probably commit another crime sometime soon. So the irony in all of this is that statistically speaking, immigrants commit fewer crimes than citizens. And here we're enabling these citizens who are horrible human beings whose only achievement was that their parents gave birth to them in America. And that's why they're American, because their parents gave birth to them in America. And they're now over there taunting hardworking people who are trying to make a living, who are trying to feed their families by going to Home Depot with an ice jacket and scaring them. Really, dude? Really? I really hope there's karma out there. I do. I hope that somehow, somewhere, these folks that are being so cruel get theirs. Maybe somebody arrests them for something. Maybe they do something. Odds are they're going to do something illegal. So hopefully they pay the price, because these are not good people. And again, folks, let's not lose focus that you got people from top down. Kristi Noem, she's not a good person. She was out there taking those pictures in front of that prison in El Salvador. She's cosplaying. She puts on her uniform and her outfit. Look at how tough I am. I mean, really? That's the lady who shot her dog, the poor dog. And somehow she's the head of Homeland Security now? I mean, what parallel crazy universe are we living in right now? What happened to America being a place that welcomes people that are looking to make a better life for themselves? That's gone out the door. The cruelty is the point. The cruelty is the point. Know your rights. Be ready. If they stop you, know your rights. Say, no, you can't fingerprint me. You can't ask me about my citizenship. Nope. Call my lawyer. Nope. And keep putting pressure on your members of Congress. Keep putting pressure on whoever you have that can at least speak up like Julie Johnson did, and the press, let's get that out there more and more, that what these people are doing is not legal. Putting on bandanas and arresting people is something that happens with drug cartels, something that happens with Russian oligarchs, Russian autocracy, something that happens in countries that are dictatorships. And I'm afraid to say, folks, we're living more and more in a dictatorship these days. So there you have it. Huh? What do you think? Know your rights, folks. Know your rights. I'm a comedian, Maz Jobrani. I've got a page right here on YouTube. It's got a lot of stand-up clips, and hopefully you can check it out, give it a follow, and get a laugh, because Lord knows we need it, because you never know, you might get arrested soon, so may as well have a laugh before you do.